Alright friends, we are back with our post-event English commentary, and tonight we have got one of the biggest fights that SLFC was able to conduct under its banner, under its event program, Fight Night Afghanistan. This fight took place in Fight Night 11, the main event of the evening, Wahid Najhand against Zaki Rasooli. One of the fights that was a long time in the making, a lot of animosity, a lot of tension between these two fighters. Both these fighters did have one fight before this event, and everybody was expecting them to fight once more. So tonight, this night was the fight where Zaki Rasooli faced off with Wahid Najhand, and both of them extremely talented, extremely good fighters. And I have with me Ustad Iraj Ahmadzai tonight to commentate on this event. Ustad Iraj, your takes on the fight?
I mean, this is a very, like you said, this is a very exciting fight. It took a long time for this fight because these two fighters, they had fought before. And Zaki, from the first fight, he was a bit bitter, or he had a little bit indifference in the judge's decision. He thought that the fight should have been draw, or it should have been on his. He should have won that fight. So he was basically challenging Wahid Najhand left and right, and now tonight we are seeing it that he finally got his wish, and he seems like he's very excited and ready to fight tonight.
Tell us a little bit about both the fighters, Ustad, where they come from, what their regime is like, what are their strengths and weaknesses.
Zaki Scrapper, he comes from a pancreation background, which is very similar to MMA. You are allowed to take the fighter down, but there's a few seconds that you could hold him down and strike over there. And he was a very good fighter. And on the other hand, Najhand comes from a kickboxing background. But, not to mention that both of these fighters, they have incorporated wrestling and jiu-jitsu into their game. And now we are looking at two seasoned fighters. They both have probably 4 fights in the SLFC and the MMA field. We are looking at Najhand right now. Najhand, he brings in, he has a very extensive background in the kickboxing. He has about 4 gold medals from the Asian Games and the amateurs. So he's a very good striker, and as far as we know him, he has a very, very strong physique. And we are looking at his coaches with him, and in the past he has incorporated wrestling into his game. And so we are looking at a very exciting fight right now.
Absolutely, Mr. Ahmadzai, I agree with you. A beast of a man, Wahid Najhand. You can see how he is built. He is built like a tank with a speed of a Ferrari. This fight was for the titleship belt. Of course, Wahid Najhand was coming in as a champion. He fought his way through to the belt, and Zaki Rasooli also fought his way to become the top contender for the fight. So this event itself, this fight is on the championship belt, and whoever wins this fight is going to take the belt.
Most definitely, and we are looking at the fans there. You could see the arena is jam-packed, and now we are seeing the announcer announce the
Attack
fight.
Energy drink مشتی پر قدرت فقط در ایمان ریحان مایده. This one is for you. شبه در نخست از کارنر صفحه این مبارز با رکورد 3 برد و 1 باخت در رشته MMA با قد 177 سانتی متر و در وزن 75 کیلوگرم با نمایندگی از انجمن موی تای و MMA عقاب از ولایت میدان وردک، the contender Zaki the Scrapper Rasooli. واریفش از کارنر سیاه این مبارز با رکورد 4 برد و 1 باخت در رشته MMA با قد 81 سانتی متر و در وزن 75 کیلوگرم به نمایندگی از اکادمی سلطانی از ولایت پنجشیر the champion قهرمان واحد الله نژاد.
All right, that was our own Bruzbafa Amanullah Nuristani for you. Very strong, very powerful presentation in its own right. No less than any other fighters we know in our ring.
So as we were saying that Najhand, he has 5 fights in SLFC, and Zaki Rasooli 4 fights. So these guys are pretty seasoned, when compared to their first fights in the SLFC promotion. They shook hands and they're going back to their corners.
Here we go. So the night is electric. It's jam-packed. We had not expected this many people to come in that particular night, but we were totally taken aback. And the crowd is in, and they've been waiting for a long time for this face-off. And here we go. The fight begins.
Just like you said, Mr. Nuristani, I was here live in this fight. It was crazy. It was off the charts. Both of the fighters are sizing themselves. Let's see who's going to strike first. Najhand is walking Zaki back, and Zaki is backing off right now. Let's see.
Najhand does have a slight bit of a height and reach advantage over Zaki, but as you can see, Zaki is very strongly built.
And they're in the clinch position. Nice reversal by Najhand, but they get back on their feet. Zaki's doing a good job of containing Najhand's power, and Najhand is very relentless, trying to take Zaki down. And good. Oh, there's a takedown. Najhand is in the open guard of Zaki. Let's see what these two fighters have in mind.
Zaki predominantly comes in as the better fighter when it comes to ground game, when it comes to BJJ or wrestling. Najhand, on the other hand, is one of the fighters who uses his strength more, who relies on his strength and his kicks and his punches, because he has a very strong kickboxing and a very good national and international kickboxing record. Do you think it's a good match?
I think it's a very, very good match. It's a clash of styles. As you said, Zaki comes with a very extensive BJJ background, and Najhand comes with raw power. And the interesting thing is, we haven't seen anybody who could basically stop Najhand's raw power, and he's been able to basically mold through his opponents in the past.
I will have to absolutely agree with you, because most of Najhand's other opponents who he faced before in his other fights have mostly been wrestlers or people with a better ground game. But again, his power has been overpowering for most of them, if not all.
Exactly, and this is like a lot of the fans on Zaki's side, they're hoping, or they were hoping, that Zaki would be that person that's going to bring an end to Najhand's streak of recklessness, that he's been basically wrecking his opponents. And so far, it doesn't seem like that. So far, there we go. Zaki had in Kimura, but he lets it go, and Najhand is relentless with his takedowns, and he's able to keep Zaki down. Zaki seems like he has a chance for a guillotine, but at the same time, it seems like he's a little tired too, so he's trying to recollect himself. We are looking at Najhand with the strikes.
It seems that so far Zaki has been taken by surprise by Najhand, because Najhand is a stand-up guy, but as you can see, he's been more involved in getting his opponent down on the ground, more than Zaki actually, and he's been really successful at that. He's keeping him down.
Also, you see somebody, think somebody's strong, but in your mind you're like, he's not strong enough. But once you are in there with him, then it could catch you by surprise. Maybe this is what Zaki's experiencing right now. He's just feeling the raw power of Najand, and it's sending shockwaves to him as well.
Take nothing away from Zaki, Iraj. I
Exactly.
think Zaki, when it comes to power, he's one of the fighters, one of the very few
Exactly.
fighters who can match Najand for power. But again, Najand is a totally a different beast when it comes to raw power.
That was exactly my point because Zaki, he's supposed to be the more powerful man because he's shorter, he's stockier, he's very strong himself, and to see Najjan be able to hang and match powerful power with Zaki is very interesting.
Well, so far it seems that even on the ground, Najand is having his way with Zaki. He's been dominating this fight with positions and ground control. Zaki has been on the defensive so far, trying to move out of Najand's way and trying to have basically a defense for what he's trying to do.
And as we are looking at Najand, he was working from the back end with a reversal. Zaki comes back up on his feet. He does a good job. I think that is the end of round one.
Pretty exciting round. Pretty action-packed. Action-packed. Most of the action was on the ground. What do you think, Iraj? Do you think that who would you call? Who would you score?
I think this round I would give it more to Najand because for the better of the fight or for most of the fight he scored some clean takedowns and he was on on top. Even though Zaki was able to get a reversal at the end of the round, and we are looking at some of the replays right now from the beginning of the fight. This was definitely action-packed, and both of these fighters are there. I mean, this we need to remember this is a 5-round fight. So both of these guys, as much as they're active, they are trying to basically hold they're trying to conserve their energy so they could last the 5 rounds.
Well, I would have to slightly disagree there. I think they're trying to knock each other out immediately as soon as they can, which should be the preferred method when it comes to MMA, because there's a rule in MMA that you never leave your fights for the judges to judge.
Exactly. And just what I'm saying is like when they're testing each other out. It could be that both of them are at the same in back of their mind. They're thinking like, listen, I might not be able to finish this guy. I might have to fight all 5 rounds. So they have both of these things. They would love to submit or knock out their opponent, both of them. But it did not seem like that in the first round that they were able to. Either one was not able to land significant strikes on the other one, or even put the other one in danger in terms of submissions.
Well, I am sure coming into this fight, and Wahid Najhand has also gone on record to say that his Zaki Rasooli was in his previous fights one of the tougher opponents. So Zaki does have Najand's respect. And you can see that Najand is very careful when it comes to his kickboxing and getting head on or head into his jab. So he's trying to play Zaki's game here. He's trying to take Zaki down. We saw that in the first round. Let's see how Najand performs in the second round.
Yeah, it is interesting that you pointed that out. Najand is not really relying on his striking, but in the beginning of this round, even though he was throwing some good low kicks, both of the guys were exchanging, but the low kicks were not landing for either fighter. There's an exchange. So let's see if we're gonna have the same replay of the first round. Ooh.
There goes the takedown.
Najand
And again, another out of not pretty much unexpected from Najand to take down his opponent. He is more. He has shown that he is more reliant on his kickboxing, but to his credit, he's doing pretty well even on the ground. And when it comes to slugging it out and doing the tug of war with Zaki, where they're just wrestling traditionally.
Nice trip by Najand. Let's see if he could keep him down. Zaki is doing a good job getting back on his knees. And Zaki, it seems like he was going for a double leg takedown, which Najand does a good job. back take by Najhand. Najhand is back in Zaki's full guard. And it seems like Zaki's working from the bottom. He's trying to land his elbows.
So tell me, Raj, is this a good position for Zaki to be at this moment here during this fight?
Right at this, I don't agree with this position because he has his head against the cage and he's playing the full guard. If he was trying to, get back up on his feet, it would be better. And then at the same time, this is working out for Najhand's benefit, I think. Because it doesn't give any room for Zaki to play around with. Zaki needs to have an open guard like he does right now and put his push Najhand back like he is trying to. And if he can, he should bring his head back to the center of the ring and not stay next to the cage, because that's a position where Najhand could overwhelm Zaki with his power.
There's a tremendous amount of exertion of power, and I think they're going to gas out pretty soon. Do you think that they are going to last 3 rounds?
I think both of these guys, especially Najhand, I have seen him fight before, and this guy, he comes with a lot of stamina. He's known for his stamina. And now Zaki is playing that open guard. He's got both of his feet on Najhand's pelvic, and he's keeping Najhand back. So that's what he needs to do, and maybe even push him further back so he could get back on his feet.
خیلی خوب تیک داون برای مرسل، خیلی خوب واقعا فایت خیلی جالب است.
Najhand with the strikes, and they're not very significant. They're not landing. With the reversal by Zaki with the double.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful reversal.
We just had a lot of action right there.
That's where it becomes really difficult for any fighter to fight Najhand. You can see that he had to body slam. I mean, the entire weight of Najhand, the entire weight of Zaki, Najhand was able to carry and put it behind him. The strength of this guy is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's not on par. It's above par, beyond par with anybody we have here in Afghanistan. And even when it comes to international fighters, he is one fighter who can turn any game around just with his strength, even if he lacks some technicality when it comes to ground game.
Definitely. I mean, his power makes for his technicality, lack of technicality, and as you can see, it's very hard for Zaki to keep Najhand down. But so far right now, Najhand is keeping, Zaki's keeping Najhand down. Let's see if he could keep him down, and let's see if he could take advantage of this situation. Zaki with strikes from top.
Coming back to my point of lack of technicality, we have to understand that MMA, professional MMA, is pretty new here in Afghanistan, even with SLFC now in its 5th year of operation. The guys still are learning the ways of wrestling and new standards of BJJ and kickboxing and everything. So it is still it would be pretty harsh on these fighters to be expectant of them to be really professional when it comes to especially BJJ and the ground game. But we have seen they are totally different players from the last time when they faced tough.
Yes, it's a big difference. Right now they are understanding positioning, reversals, and as you said, the finer things. They need to respect the finer things more, and they need to work on them more. From my experiences of working with the Afghan fighters, they are raw power. They just want to have a one-punch knockout power, and they want to work on their raw power, and they need to respect the finer things, the technicality. They need to understand how important it is to work on techniques and the repetition. We saw while you were speaking, Zaki had another opportunity for Kimura, which he did not capitalize on, which at the UFC level or other promotions, if a fighter is presented presented with a situation like that, they will definitely capitalize on it.
The progress has been significant, as you can see. I mean,
Definitely.
from where we began and to today, many of these fighters have represented Afghanistan in other international organizations, mostly in Russia, like the ACA or Fight Nights Global, and they've had pretty good results. I mean, not mixed results, pretty properly good results for international fights, despite lacking in certain areas when it comes to
Exactly, exactly. I
technicalities.
mean, we need to remember both of these guys they come from stand-up backgrounds, and we are looking at these guys going for double leg takedowns, single leg takedowns. They're going for reversals. They are doing a lot of like high-level jiu-jitsu and wrestling stuff in there tonight.
All right, round 3 is just about to begin. Ustaz Hayatullah Khairi just gives the go-ahead to fight for both the fighters.
And both of the fighters are sizing each other up, and let's see if they will choose to stand or go back to the ground. Let's see if they have any change in their game plan.
Coming back to the point that we were making in the last round, Ustaz Iraj, you have also trained in the United States with the biggest of clubs and the biggest of players. And you also have dedicated a part of your life in training our fighters here in Afghanistan, in especially BJJ. How do you rate the adaptability of these fighters? Are they good learners, or does it take time for them to change their fighting style from kickboxing? Because most of these fighters come in as kickboxers into the MMA arena and adapt to the BJJ and the pro MMA.
Kakail, from my experience, the Afghan fighters are like sponge. You know, if they have the right coaching, if they have the right methodology, the right techniques, these guys, the sky's the limit for these guys. I have been saying this for a long time. You know, Afghanistan could be the next Brazil or the next Dagestan. We just need to, you know, these guys, they just need to give more respect to the technique and stuff, because they have raw power, they have all the heart in the world. I mean, look at Zaki with his big smile. You know, these guys are under so much pressure, but they're smiling. You know, that's the type of mentality that you cannot teach, and that's the type of mentality if you have in a fighter, the sky is the limit.
So, do you confidently say that Afghan fighters can compete and represent in any international arena?
Not only compete, they could sweep the international arena. I mean, we could see like a lot of the Afghans that went from Afghanistan to Europe or America in a very, very short amount of time, and whatever sport or discipline that they were in, they have excelled, and they are at the top of their sport.
Not a lot of action. That was a good leg takedown from Zaki.
Nice single leg by Zaki.
And there you go, barrage of fists and
mount.
punches on his face.
Yes. So let's see if Zaki could keep Najhand down and capitalize. Oh, with Najhand with the reversal as usual. This guy's a beast. It's very hard to keep this guy down, man. I mean, he's a diamond in the rough. He just needs some polishing, man. Both of these guys, they just need some polishing, and these guys they could fight at any level.
I mean, have you ever seen anybody keep Najhand down?
No, I have not. No, I have not. If Zaki cannot keep Najhand down, then I don't think anybody in this promotion could keep Najhand down, because Zaki is one of the strongest guys in his weight class.
And that is saying something about the strength of this person.
And right there, Zaki was able to land a few elbows onto Najhand's head. Let's see if that's going to create any type of damage. Again, Zaki with the elbows. Najhand needs to cover his face. He needs to cover or control Zaki's arms. Zaki right now, he could push Najhand back and get back on his feet. His feet are in a good position to do that, but he's choosing not to. It seems like both of the fighters are talking to each other. Najhand is smiling at Zaki and telling him, "Is that all you got?"
Well, that's another aspect of both these fighters. They are good fighters technically and both strength-wise, but at the same time, they are also really good showmen.
Yes, yes, showman you have to, man. Najhand, he's one of my favorites in the SLFC promotion. I love his showmanship. He's one of my favorite fighters, and he's a natural. You cannot teach the things that he does. It's just naturally he's a showman.
So nothing significant happening over there, just exchange of
There
punches
you
not
go,
landing
Zaki
clearly.
with the push. Now he needs to get on his feet. Zaki's telling Najhand to come back down. I think he likes the war on the ground.
Oh, that was a...
Zaki gets back on his feet, and there both of the fighters are exchanging. Zaki with a good underhook. Let's see if he could capitalize on that. And Najhand is going for a single leg, and he's
another
successful.
takedown.
Nice takedown.
And a
Wow,
reversal
there you
from
go.
Zaki.
Zaki reverses it, and Zaki's now on the side mount position. Let's see if he can maintain this position.
There you go.
Stoppage by the referee. Was that the end of the
That
third
is the
round?
end of the third round. We
Wow.
are into the fourth round, and do you think we have a clear winner? Who has scored more? Who would you give the fight so far?
To
Two?
be honest with you, Kakail, I'm so into this fight. I even forgot to score. And this round just passed by so quick. It went by so quick because I was so into, watching both of these fighters because there were so many different positions in this one fight.
Well, there's nothing, absolutely nothing to choose from between these two fighters because they're so close. Both, the 3 rounds, most of it has been on the ground, contrary to what everybody was expecting, especially from Najhand. And from what Zaki had previously said in the press conferences and the interviews, he was also working on his kickboxing.
And we are looking at Najhand. Look at him with a big smile. He's laying down. He's just the type of guy. He's like, he's just, you cannot teach that.
Well, many of our fans did comment on the fact that we didn't have chairs over there, but we did have chairs. The fighters, because they didn't want chairs, they just took the chairs out. They wanted to lie down,
I think
which
he's
they
more
shouldn't have
comfortable
done.
lying down or sitting on his bottom.
According to the rules, they shouldn't have done that, and the referee or somebody else could have, the supervisors could have intervened, and they could have put the chairs back, because what that creates is a lot of sweat on top of the mat, and the fighters then find it difficult to stand, and there's a lot of slippage, and that could lead to stoppages, unwanted stoppages during the
I
fight.
think at this time there was a lot of pressure, on the judges, on the referees. I mean, the fans from both of the fighters from both sides, they were like hooligans, I mean, at the same time, the security measures and everything like that. This night was a night of a lot of pressure on everybody. And even right now, we are doing this commentary. I lost track of time last round. So let's see, this is round 4. We are into round 4, right?
This is the 4th round, yes, absolutely. And when it comes to the pressure, I mean, for some of these fighters, it's a life and death situation. Not necessarily because not literally, but because they take
Ooh, nice thigh kick.
that hurt, I think. So because they take these fights so seriously, I mean, there's a lot of pressure, and you could see that pressure in both the fighters. And I don't think any of the fighters, even themselves, Najhand or Zaki, could give themselves marks and be on top of a good head kick. That was a good one.
High kick by Zaki. Nice, good exchange.
Najhand is down. I think he got him heavy.
Najhand with the underhook. And Zaki with an overhook. Let's see if Zaki is trying to defend the takedown and Najhand is going for the takedown. Let's see who gets the takedown. Nice spin almost by Zaki, but Najhand is able to pin Zaki against the cage. And I think both of the fighters are on Najhand's corner, right? On Najhand's side of the corner? Because I thought I saw one of Najhand's coaches speaking to him. So that is actually an advantage for Najhand to have his opponent in his corner. There's a single leg takedown.
Oh, there's the Kimura, I think.
There's
He's
that.
got him, but he needs to finish that properly.
Let's see if he could capitalize and finish it. Is that Najhand's head? I think there's a cut on Najhand's head and he's bleeding. There's blood on his face. I think it was one of the elbows right there. There's 2 or 3 other elbows thrown by Zaki, and Najhand
Yeah,
is
strong ones, big ones,
bleeding.
strong elbows coming out. I think that Zaki has come back pretty well in this round.
Yes, he has. He's very active from the bottom and he's trying to get back on his feet.
And Najhand is yet again, like many of his fights, bleeding profusely.
Yes. And that's one of the things we have seen with Najhand. He has bled before and the bleeding does not affect this guy. Let's see if it's going to affect him in this fight.
Whoa. Good strong elbows from down.
Yes.
Under.
Those are some razor sharp elbows that Zaki's throwing. Zaki is pointing to the ref. I guess he wants the ref to check Najhand's cuts. Wow, there's a lot of blood on Zaki.
This is incredible, the way they are still pushing each other with the strength that is on display here.
As if
Iraj.
nothing happened.
As if they're still fighting in the first round. This is the 4th round, and we were.
Look at Najhand. He's just looking at his corner. He's winking, smiling. These guys are warriors. That's what I was just talking about.
He doesn't even smell the blood.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, man, if you could have fighters like this, that bleeding and cutting and stuff like that does not phase them, and they go through it and fight, you could take these guys far. These guys could, the sky's the limit for these guys. If the ref stops the fight, did the round end? No, we still have time for the round.
No, I think the ref stopped the fight because he thought that it wasn't a good position and nothing is going to come out from him. And I think he's going to have a mini doctor's check because there's blood in his eyes. Yeah, Najhand is signaling that.
To his eye.
He wants the doctor to clean the blood off his eyes.
So hopefully the cut is not around his eye. It's somewhere where let's see if the doctor is going to allow this fight to continue. It doesn't seem like he has a cut around his eye because a lot of the elbows landed on his head. He might have a cut on his skull.
I think the blood was in his eye, and that's what he pointed. That blood has got into my eye, and somebody can come and clean up. Do you think?
I think the fight is gonna go on.
It's continuing. Do you think that was a good stoppage by the referee to give him time to recover? Do you think that?
Well, then at the same time there was a lot of bleeding going on, so I think that was smart of the referee to make sure that there was not a significant damage done to Najhand, because some of those cuts require the referees to stop the fight. And
was that not an undue advantage for Najhand from the position that he was in? Zaki was dominating him.
Yes. I mean, we could argue that because Zaki, but then at the same time, you saw Zaki pointing to the ref, voicing his concern as well. He was basically telling the referee to look at Najhand's cuts as well. So I think Zaki should have, kept on fighting and kept on going. That's not his job to stop the fight. His job is to finish his fighter and fight till the referee stops the fight. And now Najhand is on top. He's on full mount.
Oh, there goes the round. There goes the blood. Saved by the bell. Saved by the bell. I think that was a dangerous position Zaki was in. And Najhand could have capitalized given enough time. But we are into the 5th round.
That was a very, very interesting turn of events because at one point Zaki was at a position seeming like that he was going to finish Najhand. The referee stops the fight, and next thing you know, at the end of the round, Najhand lands and finishes on the mount position, almost finishing Zaki.
So you're giving this round to Zaki?
This round, be honest with you, I would score it even round because a lot of the times when you're scoring at the end of the round counts as well, and at the end of the round, Najhand showed his dominance. See, in the beginning of the round, Najhand had a few takedowns. Then we had Zaki Scrapper doing the damage from the bottom. Then at the end of the round, Najhand landed on top, so he finished on the mount position. What about yourself, Kakal? What do you
Well, I think there's good enough damage on Najhand's face, and Zaki did really, really well from even if he was down, and his elbows and his punches did a lot of damage. So I would definitely score this for Zaki.
Definitely, he did a lot of damage. He was very active from the bottom, and now we are looking at Najhand's face. There's not any significant damage or bruise or bumps that we could see on his face, but I think the cut was more on his head, somewhere around his scalp, where he got the cut and where he was bleeding from. So let's see.
Wow, these guys are still standing straight after brutal four rounds, as if they're into the second.
Yes, and they're ready to go. They're ready to go. They know they put most of the fight behind them, and they have only one more round to go. We are looking at Najhand, and there's Zaki Scrapper.
One of the things that in our fights I have witnessed is the time management between rounds. Do you think that's an issue? Because every round we see that instead of the 60 minutes allowed, it does stretch to at least 60 seconds. It does stretch to at least 90 seconds by the time the cutmen and the doctors and everybody else is out. Oh,
And
what's
as
happening
you can
there?
see, even though right now they try to start the round, I guess Najhand is pointing to the floor that there's some water on the floor, and that's one of the issues that delays the 60 minutes and the fights don't start on time, because a lot of the coaches, when they come to when they're working with their fighters, they're spilling water in different places, and I think in the past SLFC has taken action against those coaches and fighters who are not careful about spilling water inside the ring.
All right, Zaki just getting in one more punch in Najhand's face, just right before the break itself. Okay, there we go. Hope we have no further interruption. Fifth round, the final round.
Oh, these guys, they look like this is the first round. They seem fresh. Seems like they hit their second wind, and both of them, they're ready to go.
That says something about their conditioning.
Yes. And a lot of times as a fighter, and as you know, you have competed in different sports, and once you put the most of the fight behind you, basically 80%,
Oh,
there you
good
go.
left
We
by
got an
Zaki.
exchange. And Najhand is going for that takedown. Zaki's going for that. Kimura seems like no.
How many takedowns do you think that Najhand scored in this match? I mean,
I
there
think
have
he
been
had
a lot of them.
A lot of them. I think each round he had about 3 or 4.
And another one. And another one here.
Another takedown. It just speaks about his raw power that he has, Najhand. And you know, when he does these takedowns, it's not very technical, but it's raw power. Najhand is in a good position right now. He's got Zaki pinned to the cage, and Zaki is making his way to his feet. Najhand is doing a good job putting a hook in and not allowing Zaki to stand up. He's utilizing all his weight. He's making Zaki carry all his weight. This reminds me of that Conor McGregor and Habib fight. Let's see if Najhand could pull off a choke like Habib did on Conor McGregor. But oh, no. We are seeing Zaki getting back on his feet. He's doing a good job. Throwing a back elbow. And a body slam. Wow.
Powerful.
To perform a slam like that.
And this is in the fifth round, the 3rd minute of the 5th round, and I mean, every second of this fight has been brutal when it comes to.
You can see the showmanship of Najhand talking to the camera, and maybe he's talking to his coaches or to the opposing coaches.
I think he feels that he's got this. I think he feels that he has won this fight.
He feels very confident that I would agree. And
I guess you can see the first signs of gassing here.
yes.
I think Zaki is tired now. You can see a little bit, some signs of a tiring Zaki, but on the other hand, Najhand is still going.
I think Zaki exerted himself in the last round, working from his back, and he was throwing a lot of elbows, and working from your back, it's very, very taxing. And Najhand is on full mount right now.
Zaki is complaining about something. Maybe Najhand is holding from his
Gloves,
gloves.
probably. Zaki, this is the 5th round. Zaki needs to get back on his feet, and he needs to show some action in order to win this championship fight, because we need to remember that Najhand holds the belt. So Zaki needs to perform significantly for judges to award him this fight. Najhand is doing a good job. Oh, he's going for a rear naked choke. Good spin by Zaki.
And we are into our last minute of the championship fight. This has been an incredible fight when it comes to pure display.
Oh, is that Najhand with
the triangle?
Triangle. Good job.
Good job by Zaki.
Najhand is going for a Kimura.
And there you go. Zaki has a defense for that too.
Well, Najhand, it seems like he should have went for that Kimura to begin with in the beginning of the fight. He might have had a success on that.
Maybe he wanted 5 rounds. Who knows?
Yes, you never know. He might have wanted. A lot of these guys, they just love to fight, you know. And some of them, if you tell them if they have the choice between a short fight and a long fight, they will choose that long fight.
Well, most of them, whenever you interview these guys, they're like, I want to display, I want to go the full 5 rounds, and I want to give a show that people can remember for ages.
And you are seeing the showmanship of both of these fighters.
And the belt.
Is that the end of round 5? I think round 5 definitely I would give it to Najhand. Kakail, do you agree with me on this? Or?
Well, absolutely, absolutely.
Look at Zaki with a smile, with his positive outlook.
Even though MMA is not scored round by round, it's the aggregate of all the 5 or 3 rounds that are on display. But I think clearly for me, of the 5 rounds, Najhand won the 4. I think the 4th round, I would score it for Zaki. But Najhand clearly was the winner for the other 4. So I don't think there is a split decision coming in here. I think the decision
Nice
will be unanimous.
replay of that slam by Najhand in the 5th round.
But what a fight! What a fight, Ustad.
This was
Do you think that this fight was good enough to be the title fight for this event? Of course, this was on the belt itself. But do you think it did justice to its bidding?
Definitely, because both of these fighters, like we said, we could sit over here and pick on some of the technicalities, but you don't know how good these fighters are until you are in that cage with them. Both of these guys are very, very strong, very well conditioned. And look at them, both of them, they're smiling, hugging each other. This is what this sports is all about. It's all about respect. They go in there, they had a bloodshed, and next thing you know, now they're hugging and giving each other high fives.
Not a big thing in any other country, but in Afghanistan, to lose a fight and then go hug your opponent and raise his hand just like that, and be courteous in defeat is saying something, because this is something that was literally introduced and instilled, this culture, by SLFC. Before SLFC, it was very difficult
100%.
for a fighter to accept his loss.
Exactly.
and raise the other person's hand and not make a mess of it.
Exactly. Before, even right now in some of the other promotions, a lot of the fighters, when they lose, they don't even want to take the picture at the end of the fight with the winning fighter. They walk out of the ring, or they make a big commotion about their loss. But over here we see Zaki Scrapper being a very, very good sportsman and he's hugging Najhand. At the same time, Najhand is hugging him. None of the fighters yet know who is the winner.
Yeah, so we have the results, and Amanullah Nuristani is going to declare the results.
خیلی کار داورا پس چیزی که شما گفتید مشکل و سخت هست. امیدوارم حاشیه نشه.
نه تا حدودی مشخص بود. تا حدودی میشه گفت مشخص بود که نژند چون دو راند مکمل رو گرفت و دو راند کامل رو گرفت و زکی تو دو راندی که یه مقداری مشکوک بودیم و یه راند فقط گرفت. من اینجوری فکر میکنم. حالا البته من قضاوت من 100% نیست چون من اسکور ندادم، امتیاز ندادم و نمیشه دقیق گفت.
عالی. امان الله
خانم ها
نورستانی.
و آقایان بعد از 5 راوند جذاب و دیدنی داورا فیصله خورده کردن و به اتفاق آرا و فعلا هم قهرمان 75 کیلوگرم واحد نژاد.
And still, by unanimous decision,
Najhand is able to retain his championship, but it was interesting at the end. Zaki thought he won. He put his hand up, but obviously we saw that the judges gave the decision to Najhand, and I think that was a well-deserved win by Najhand.
well, that was a fabulous fight, one for the ages. And to our viewers, we will be back with more of our post-match English commentary. We are trying to convert the entire library of fights that we have into English so that our international audience can also understand where these fighters are coming from and how these events are organized, and hopefully one day that could lead Afghanistan and our fighters to bigger and better and more powerful arenas.
And stay tuned for more.
This is Kakail Nuristani and
Iraj Amata.